What's going on, Jerome's beautiful Friday? Birds are chirping and stuff, and it's time for another Vikings news dump. That's right. He sees you win. You are indeed pooping. So last night, Thursday Night Football, the Browns and the Steelers, they got it on in a blizzard, a snowstorm, a lake effect snow, winds. Still fun. Still went over. Annoying, right? And I know a lot of people didn't like the game, right? Because fantasy football and all that stuff, and I don't know. Like, I go back and forth. Like, obviously, I enjoy track meet football games as much as the next person. You know, indoor, fast track, elements not a factor. But there's just something about this time of year, man, where elements come into play and it just becomes old school, smash mouth, punch you in the face type football, right? And I don't know, like, blame it all on my roots, showed up in boots, ruined your indoor football affair. I don't know. But of course, the Vikings getting ready to play Chicago, the crooked Chicago Bears in Chicago at Soldier Field. Kevin Seifert, ESPN, who's not Carl Gershon. Wind chill of 26 for today's outdoor practice. Soldier Field weather. No Josh Oliver. Blah blah blah. So Vikings practicing outside this week instead of inside the building to get acclimated to what they're going to face on Sunday against the Bears. And I mean, it's fine. Plus, if you look at the Vikings, like, as much as I say I like outdoor football games, the Vikings actually, beyond for the next 5 games at home, like, they're indoors, you know, the rest of the way aside from the Seahawks game. And Seattle isn't really, like, snowy, but could be cold, could be windy, could be raining, could be lots of things, right? And it's interesting that 5 out of the Vikings' last 6 games are all indoors, 4 at home. All right, so the Vikings could be able to make some hay, as well as no loss November. Can we complete that? Would be fantastic. Also fantastic is annual Thanksgiving food shelf fundraiser. Every dollar donated to the show during the rest of the month will be sent to Twin Cities food shelves, super chats, Venmos, Cash Apps, everything going to them. Links are down in the description. Also, if you want to donate directly to every meal, you can do that. Link is also in description. Shoot us an email if you do that, and we'll include it in the total. And you guys are the best. One of our favorite things to do every year, paying it forward this time of the season. Tis the reason for the season. Also, I have no transition. Anyways, the Vikings and Bears' second injury report came out on Thursday. Vikings pretty clean. Josh Oliver is the only one DNP'd. Probably won't be available on Sunday. Johnny Munt stepping up into his tight end 2 spot, as well as Jonathan Bullard, as I get all verklempt. Bullard and Darnold, who were limited on Wednesday, full go on Thursday. Should be known Wednesday was basically a walkthrough. So for the Bears, so a couple still stayed DNP. So Kieran Amagagij. Yeah. It was one of their offensive linemen, DNP 2 days in a row. Ryan Bates, the former Buffalo Bill, is likely going to be missing with a concussion. Hasn't gotten through in the protocol as of yet. So the Bears could be down 2 offensive linemen, so it could be yum time for Brian Flores and company. Also, DeAndre Swift went from DNP'd Wednesday with the groin, limited on Thursday. Probably going to play on Sunday, but either way, he won't be 100%. And that'll be important to know because last time DeAndre Swift faced the Vikings, week 2, when he was with the Eagles last year, ran for $175. No bueno. It's not good, man. Also not good is the lack of national media coverage on the Vikings. Now, we're used to them, thumb slightly down on the scale, but full on just hatred, like we ranted about yesterday with Dan Orlovsky, talking about NFC challenges to the Lions. Is like, the Eagles, the Bears, not the Bears, but the Packers. I don't know what that voice is. And the Rams. No mention of the 8-2 team who went toe-to-toe with them a couple weeks ago. No problem. Our guy Edge put this out there, and really salient points here. The Vikings have an Offensive Player of the Year candidate who is one of the faces of the league, a real Defensive Player of the Year candidate in Andrew Van Ginkel, a Coach of the Year favorite in Kevin O'Connell, a top 10 defense. It ain't 10. It ain't 9. It's numero uno. An 8-2 record, yet you couldn't find one segment on ESPN talking about them. It's true. Because ESPN is too busy filleting the Lions, as well as talking about, I don't know, where the Jets go from here. Plus, can the Cowboys bounce back more? And how does this affect LeBron's legacy? And Lil Wayne breaks down the NHL season next on First Take. I don't know. And wait, is First Take even a show? Oh, I saw that they're ending Around the Horn. I don't know. I always preferred Pardon the Interruption, but it is what it is. I don't know, the worldwide bleeder of viewers. It happens, man. But this is what you get. This is what you get when it's one thing to shade coverage, but it's another thing to just flat out lie. And just omitting the Vikings as a serious contender in the NFC, just blatant journalistic malpractice and malfeasance and everything. Carne mal. Also, speaking of meat, Caleb Williams. I know that he has a chance to be great. And to a degree, I kind of hope that he does, preferably now in Chicago. But I watched every single snap of Caleb Williams in college. He is fun. He is unorthodox. And I will stick by this. He will either be a top 4 quarterback in the league in 3 years, or he will be out of the league in 5. Like, there is no scenario where he becomes just average. Like, there's no way that he becomes like Ryan Tannehill or Jimmy Garoppolo. It's either here or it's here. Hopefully, we can expedite it down to here because Flores, it's going to be yum time. Like the Bears' offensive line, and Caleb is great under duress. You do have to keep him in the pocket. He can freestyle. He can do a lot of things, but he's still a rookie quarterback. He still likes to force the ball. He still likes to play hero ball. So this indeed could be some yum time for Flores and company. Other side of the ball. So I got a lot of respect for Jaylon Johnson, the pride of Utah, second-round pick from back in the day, got paid. He's one of the true traveling shutdown corners in the league. He and Justin Jefferson are going to have a fun time on Sunday. And I say I'm glad that he's overcome his shoulder injuries because that was the knock on him in the draft. But frankly, I wanted him in purple. Of course, I want everyone in purple. So, but Jaylon, I don't know, man. Like, Jaylon's never really been known as much of a trash talker, but this is interesting. Jason Leiser, beat writer for the Bears. How has the Vikings quarterback Sam Darnold been so consistent? Bears cornerback Jaylon Johnson, quote, I feel like he hasn't been consistent. He started out hot. He's had a lot of turnovers lately, which on one hand is fair, but the other hand, Jaylon, why just chum in the waters, man? Like, why are you poking the bear? This is like when that Zach Brown linebacker made fun of Kirk Cousins, and Kurt lit his ass up, and then he got cut. Now, Jaylon's not going to get cut, but we've just been waiting for that 200-yard Jefferson game and watch it come down the pipeline on Sunday, baby. And like I said, Jaylon Johnson is a bad dude. He's really, really good. So when JJ goes for 12 for 210 and 3 on his ass, it's going to mean something. So there you go. Speaking of Jefferson, so 33rd team put this out. Most seasons with 90-plus reception yards per game, minimum 10 games in a season. Jerry Rice was 6, Julio was 6, Allworth with 5. Lance Allworth was a good dude, man. Jefferson with 4, Andre Johnson 4, Antonio Brown 4. It's important to note that Jefferson has played for 5 seasons. No problem. No big deal. Also, Jefferson. We don't have the graphic, but Jefferson leads. Is number 1 in NFL history right meow in terms of yards per game average, and he's like 13 yards ahead of Megatron, who's number 2, which is interesting. It's that he's at like 96.3 or something like that. I wonder if he can pump it up to 100. You know, I know that's gonna be hard to do, and I know that eventually Jefferson's career will have a bell curve towards the end, and I don't know. This we'll see. Also, we'll see is. We'll see how the Bears change up coverage. Like, will they leave Jaylon on an island by himself, or will they have safety help over the top? I'm guessing the latter. Vikes fan page, Vikings wide receiver Justin Jefferson, how he would play himself from a defensive perspective. Quote, I would do the same. It's either you let everybody else go off or let Justin go off, end quote. Now, I like they went third person. But Jefferson's right. And when we talk about game previews, we always talk about take away the other team's number 1 guy, and that's exactly what Flores and the coaching staff talk about defensively too. It's like, hey, let anyone else can beat you. This guy will not beat you, and that's number 1. Make the other team play left-handed, because what's the plan otherwise? Hey, you want to shut down Jalen Naylor and Josh Oliver, and then Justin Jefferson? Just single him up. Hey, the rookie UDFA corner, he'll be fine. Like, he can go Malcolm Butler on Justin Jefferson. Why not? So it is frustrating, and it's so weird. Bengals fans are weird. Like, obviously they go to bat for their guy Jamar Chase, but I feel like Jamar Chase talks about Justin Jefferson more than anything else. It's really weird. Can't both be great? I think both are great. And, Chase, sure, he gets coverage shaded his way, but not every single snap. And it's not like defenses completely changed their defensive philosophy for one game against Jefferson, which is exactly what Jacksonville did, which is what Tennessee did, which is what a bunch of teams this year have done. So don't worry about it. Like, Jefferson will get his, but it's tough. He'll just beat triple coverage. Why not? Speaking of triple, Cam Beezy, buying him. So he's had some great celebrations so far. Did the moonwalk against the Texans, did the parent trap with Metellus against the Jets, and then, of course, the breakdancing one against the Jaguars, right? In the NFL, they did up a top 5 video. Who had the best Celly so far this season? And then Beezy had 3 in the top 5. Which, number one, it's awesome. Like, hey, it's exactly what Flores said after the Giants game. If you get a turnover, celebrate it, because it's hard to win in the league. And also, Kevin O'Connell said in a presser afterwards that after the Van Ginkel pick 6, one of the officials came over to him and is like, Coach, half of your defensive staff is in the end zone celebrating, which told me right then and there that this is going to be a special year, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And so, number one, his celebrations are on point. I don't care that he practices them because he expects greatness. And also, number 2, he gets the interceptions. He gets the turnovers to celebrate them. I mean, he's got that skill set, man. I love it. Also, that skill set, Andrew Van Ginkel and Jonathan Grenard. So I think you could make a good case. AVG, Grenard, Cashman, Hottie Ward, Tilly, Gilmore, Aaron Jones. I mean, could this be the greatest free agent class in NFL history? Because think about it, free agency didn't really come into play until 1992. And when teams sign free agents, it's drips and drabs. One key guy, maybe 2, 3. But the Vikings have signed several key contributors this offseason. It's pretty damn amazing. Makes up for Kwesi drafting. Guessing Strib. AVG is tied for 5th in the NFL in sacks this year with 8. Jonathan Grenard is tied for 12th with 7, while being tied for 6th in pressures, 26. The 2 players count for a combined $9.14 million against the Vikings salary cap this year. Well, it's sort of a Pyrrhic victory because they do have void years in their deals, and they're fine. But basically, you have both of them for the cost of what Danielle Hunter's costing the Texans, which I'll love Danielle Hunter forever, but I'll roll with these two. They're good to go. Also, this isn't a don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby spot, right? But Daniel Jones, obviously done a little bit dirty with the Giants, but that's expected. But of course, Daniel Jones, he of the wild card loss against Vikings, whatever, Kirk Cousins 4th and 8. Yeah, not that I'm still mad or bitter about it, but he's on his way out in Gotham. They're benching him. They basically made him like the practice squad safety, or scout team safety, but yeah. But he's going to latch on somewhere else. And I'm not saying he's going to start, because obviously that's J.J. McCarthy. Outside chance that Darnold's back, but it's going to be J.J. McCarthy, right? But you know who loves situations like Daniel Jones? Kwesi and Kevin O'Connell. Kwesi loves formerly high drafted players that haven't panned out on potential because, hey, guess what? Daniel Jones is screwed up, but the Giants absolutely failed him as well. And Kwesi loves the mama, I can change him type players. And Jones, I mean, number 6 overall pick in the draft, probably was overdrafted, but certainly has that pedigree, has movement skills, has a decent arm, is very erratic, but also you could say that about Sam Darnold at times. And Kevin O'Connell loves him some reclamation projects as well. And could you imagine, this is where the Vikings are going to start making some hay. They're going to have a backup quarterback factory. And you've seen this throughout the years where the Patriots had for a while, the Eagles with Andy Reid, the Packers back in the day. I mean, the Packers had Favre, Hasselbeck, Brunell, Ty Detmer, Kurt Warner was there for a hot second, and Aaron Brooks was there too. And you can make some hay here. Like, hey, if you have a guy who's a certified quarterback whisperer, and you give him a quarterback that maybe is a little bit rough around the edges, then all of a sudden, like, he plays well in preseason, or actually no, like garbage time after the Vikings are up by 40. Like, what's stopping Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi from bringing him in, Daniel Jones in on a minimal deal, and Kevin O'Connell does his thing. Daniel Jones magically looks good in preseason. J.J. McCarthy leads the Vikings to a Super Bowl. Daniel Jones plays some spot garbage time football, and then the Vikings trade him. Like, they sign him to a 2-year deal, or they get compensatory pick credit. We dream. That would be the ultimate Montezuma's revenge, wouldn't it? I don't know. Speaking of revenge, there we go. So, Adam Rank, Bears Jabroni, of course, picks the Bears to win. This is from NFL Network. But our guy Daniel Jeremiah, you were the chosen one. We trusted you. It's okay. It's okay. Everyone else on our side, Connie Fox, Marcus Grant, Bucky, MJD. Maurice Jones-Drew, Pocket Hercules, been on our side for a long time. Nick Shook and Not Stirred. Eric Edholm, who does the power rankings. Kevin Patrick coming at you. I feel like, actually, no, Gordon's also dead to me. But it's okay. But DJ, that one hurts. Like, that one's Judas. Come on, man. Like, how many pieces of silver? Was it 30? We could have matched that. We could have gave you Bitcoin. Yeah. Anyways, lastly, so Chicago, I'll never admit this, but Chicago is actually a really fantastic town. Like, love visiting there. Great restaurants. I feel like they've made a concerted effort to clean up the city, but that's an argument for another day. And overall, in terms of like walking, being a tourist, Chicago, it's pretty fun. Chinatown, come on, man. Wrigleyville, come on. But I kind of feel bad for Bears fans, right? Because I don't think that the Bears are ever going to succeed with the Hallis McCaskies in power. I just don't. Because I feel like the Cowboys as of late, well, the Cowboys ever since Jimmy Johnson left, and the Jets with Woody Johnson, you just see what bad ownership does. It just poisons everything, right? Because not only does any GM worth his salt not want to work for a bad owner, and same thing with a head coach. Yeah, there's only 32 of these jobs, but do you want a job where you're going to be set up to fail, right? And I think the Bears fall in that category, and it's not so much that the McCaskies are bad owners. I think that they're just cheap, which that's not an indictment. I mean, Bears fans will echo that. Like, I'm friends with a handful of Bears fans. They wholeheartedly agree. And the only way that you can have success is if you do it like the Bengals. And the Browns are also very cheap. Not like the Cleveland Browns. Actually, no, but Mike Brown, like the Brown family who owned the Bengals, which is very confusing. But, of course, that's the whole Paul Brown drama from back in the day. But you have to hit lightning in a bottle. So they hit Joe Burrow, they hit Jamar Chase, and you have to do that. But the Bears have been so deficient at developing a quarterback. Same thing with the Jets, and frankly, same thing with the Cowboys outside of Dak and Romo. Like, it's really hard when every level of the organization is brought down by ownership. And I don't know if the Bears will ever break free of that, because I don't know if the McCaskies will ever sell. Right? And it just brings it back to, of course, the Vikings and the Wilfs. And the Wilfs, whatever you say about them, like, they'll invest in the team. Like, those VR headsets and GoPros that O'Connell's working with Darnold and J.J. McCarthy, you think the Bears would buy that? Probably not. You think the Cardinals will buy that? Probably not. Jets? No. Yeah. It's small things like that. And beyond, so like when the NFLPA surveys come out and the Vikings are number one facilities, number one in environment, number one in culture, all that stuff, that means something. It does. And the Wilfs put their money where their mouth is. TCO, Performance Center Bar and Grill, is a world-class facility. U.S. Bank Stadium is a world-class stadium. All these little things add up at the end of the day for the success of an organization. And that's what makes me giddy about this year, man, because this is not an all or nothing proposition, right? Because the Vikings have a older team, but they have youth at all the key positions, as well as they got J.J. McCarthy waiting in the hopper. Plus Kevin O'Connell, he's a certified QB whisperer, and he's a great leader of men. Kwesi nailed the free agency. We're working on the draft. Maybe having fewer draft picks, maybe that's going to be key for him. But bring it back to it, like I feel bad for Bears fans because I don't see a way out. They're going to ruin Caleb. He'll move on. They're going to ruin the next quarterback and the next quarterback and the next quarterback. Yeah. Maybe Dave Matthews is right. Just poop on it. Anyway, that is it. Vikings news dump. A little meandering at the end, but it's all good. You guys know what to do. Happy Friday. Skull, production value.